The wind howled through the dense forest, rattling the windows of a lonely wooden cabin. Inside, Daniel Carter lay on a worn-out bed, his breath shallow, his body weak. Fever burned through him like wildfire, stealing his strength with every passing hour. He had once been a strong man, a forest ranger who knew every inch of these mountains. But now, sickness had trapped him in his own home, with no one around for miles. No one, except Shadow. The massive gray wolf, his only companion, sat at the foot of the bed, watching Daniel with sorrowful golden eyes. Shadow had been by his side for years, ever since Daniel had rescued him as a helpless pup. And now, in his weakest moment, the wolf refused to leave him. Daniel coughed violently, gripping his chest as pain shot through his ribs. He tried to reach for the last of his medicine, but the bottle was empty. There was no food left. No supplies. And with the heavy snowfall outside, even if he had the strength, he couldn't make it down the mountain. He was going to die here. Shadow whined softly, his ears flicking with unease. Then, without warning, he turned and bolted out the door, disappearing into the endless white wilderness. Daniel's heart ached. His only friend was gone. Goodbye, boy, he whispered, closing his eyes, preparing for the end. Hours passed. The storm outside raged on, the cold seeping into the cabin. Daniel drifted between fevered dreams and painful reality. His vision blurred. His hands trembled. His body was shutting down. Then, bam, the cabin door slammed open, a gust of icy wind blowing inside. Daniel's weak eyes fluttered open. And what he saw made his breath catch in his throat. Shadow was back. But he wasn't alone. A woman stood behind him, wrapped in a thick cloak, her long, dark hair dusted with snow. Her piercing green eyes locked onto Daniel, scanning him with urgency. Who are you? Daniel croaked, barely able to form words. The woman stepped forward, her boots crunching against the wooden floor. My name is Evelyn Cross. Your wolf led me here. Daniel's mind struggled to process her words. Shadow had found someone. But how? There was no one in these mountains. If you want to live, Evelyn said, pulling a leather satchel from her side, you need to trust me. Before Daniel could protest, Evelyn was already moving. She unpacked strange herbs, vials of medicine, and wrapped food. Her hands worked quickly, mixing a steaming concoction in a small metal cup. Drink this, she said, pressing the cup to his lips. Daniel hesitated. Who was this woman? How did Shadow know to find her? But he had no strength left to argue. He drank. Warmth spread through his body, soothing the burning fever. The taste was bitter, yet strangely familiar. As the medicine took effect, Evelyn started a fire, warming the cabin. She cleaned his wounds, changed his damp clothes, and forced him to eat small bites of bread and stew. Daniel watched her in disbelief. She wasn't just some lost traveler, she knew exactly what she was doing. And Shadow had brought her here on purpose. Days passed, and with Evelyn's care, Daniel grew stronger. The fever broke, his strength returned, and color came back to his face. One evening, as he sat by the fire, he finally asked her, who are you, really? How did Shadow find you? Evelyn hesitated, then smiled softly. Your wolf is extraordinary. She ran a hand through Shadow's thick fur. I live deep in these mountains. I'm a healer. But I haven't seen another soul in years. Your wolf didn't just find me. She looked at him intensely. He knew exactly where to go. He led me here like he understood everything. A shiver ran down Daniel's spine, not from the cold, but from something deeper. Shadow had always been special, but this was something more. Had his wolf somehow sensed that he was dying? Had he sought out the one person who could save him? Daniel reached out, running a hand over Shadow's head. The wolf's golden eyes stared back at him, filled with something almost human-like. Evelyn's voice was quiet but firm. Your wolf didn't just bring me to you, Daniel. She paused. He brought me home. As the fire crackled between them, Daniel realized something. His wolf had saved his life, and maybe, just maybe, his life wasn't meant to end just yet.